Today, I wanted to discuss, after a few months of this administration, how different embassies and posts are processing cases that they have, how many backlogs and delays we're facing today, and what applicants should expect in different visa categories. As of May, end of May, there has been some guidance by Department of State that is very helpful and useful, and some answers were given by them to questions presented by AILA, which is a great organization I've discussed before. And that provides an overview for a lot of applicants to know how these delays and backlogs and procedures due to the pandemic in different embassies and posts may affect their case. One thing to keep in mind is the number of immigrant visa cases, this means green card cases, that are now sitting at National Visa Center, meaning they've gone through the USCIS process, they've been approved, they're sitting at National Visa Center waiting for an interview date. For the month of May is over 500,000 immigrant visa cases. These are not cases that have already been sent to the embassy and for whatever reason they're still there waiting for some sort of action on their case, whether they've had their interviews before, whether they're going through administrative processing or some other delay they may already have. These are just cases that are complete and waiting at NVC for an interview date. At the end of May, only 22,000, little over 22,000 of those cases were scheduled for interviews across all of the embassies. That means the remaining 481,000, over 481,000 cases are still pending interview. To put this in perspective, in 2019, every month there were about a little over 60,000 cases that were pending an interview versus now 480,000 cases, immigrant visa cases pending interview. So this should provide some overview of how backlogged and delayed a lot of cases are. And keep in mind, the pandemic and how it affects each post is different country by country, and in a lot of countries the posts are still not doing routine processing of any of these sorts of cases. So this is just to put in perspective how much delay you should expect. Department of State and the embassies are doing certain things to help these backlogs. They're doing remote assistance from other embassies to embassies. They're allowing third country embassies or embassies to accept third country individuals and nationals. But the problem is certain embassies are, because of the guidelines for the pandemic, are refusing to do that, cannot do that. So all of those aside, just expect to have delays in all sorts of immigrant visa cases. Priority is basically provided in 4 tiers. The priority first is given to US citizens, then immediate relatives of US citizens, such as spouses and children of US citizens. After that, priority is given to fiancé visas of US citizens, and we've seen movement in both of these categories in different embassies, and our colleagues have seen the same. So there is some movement in these top tiers of priority. After that, there's some special immigrant visa cases that are being processed. And after that, there are immigrant visa cases that were previously refused due to the bans that were in place in the previous administration. We're seeing some movement on those as well. And student visas and M visas, M1s, F1s, and J1s, some of them we're seeing also they're getting priority as well. Now, another point that was very interesting is that they've asked the Department of State, many people have suggested perhaps for certain type of non-immigrant visas not having interviews or doing virtual interviews. Unfortunately, there is no discussion of that being done because the law requires people to specifically be physically present at embassies for identification purposes and other purposes. So that is not something that's possible. But what has been done And what they are perhaps allowing to be done now is for certain type of non-immigrant visas. If you had a visa that expired within the past 48 months, then you may be able to waive the interview and no longer be required to go to an interview. So this will help a lot of posts and embassies go through these cases faster and hopefully help some of the backlog that they're facing.